Velankani is home to one of the country's biggest Catholic pilgrimage centers. The Catholic basilica devoted to Our Lady of Good Health is popularly known as the Lord of the East. The origins of this church can be traced back to the 16th century, and its founding is attributed to three miracles: the apparition of Mary and Jesus to a slumbering shepherd boy, the curing of a lame buttermilk vendor, and the survival of Portuguese sailors assaulted by a violent sea storm. It is built in the Gothic style, was modified by Portuguese and then further expanded later on due to the influx of pilgrims. The church building was raised to the status of basilica in 1962 by Pope John XXIII. Annually, 20 million pilgrims flock to the shrine from all over India and abroad, out which an estimated 3 million people visit the shrine during its annual festival from 29 August to 8 September. The 11-day annual festival concludes with a celebration of the feast on 8 September. Tradition recounts that Mother Mary appeared with the infant Jesus in this small hamlet at the end of the 16th or in the early 17th century. Ever since, Velankani is the most important destination and almost the synthesis of all Marian sanctuaries for the pilgrims of the world. The crowds of pilgrims come here regardless of creeds and languages. Our Lady of Good Health, also known as Our Lady of Velankani, is a celebrated Catholic title of the Blessed Virgin Mary believed to have appeared in Velankani town, Tamil Nadu, India. According to traditional beliefs, the Marian apparition is said to have occurred to a young boy delivering milk to the neighborhood when the Virgin Mary, carrying the child Jesus, is said to have appeared. This apparition has not been approved by the Holy See. The Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health, erected by the Portuguese and the Indians, stands at this site. The iconic depiction of the Madonna is unique in that it is one of two only icons where Mary is portrayed wearing an Indian sari, while the other statue is said to have been buried with Aurangzeb, the Mughal emperor. The basilica is known as a site for pilgrims from all over India and its assembly of multilingual prayers every Christmas. There are no historical documents or records about the apparitions of Mary at Velankani. Oral tradition is the source for the two apparitions of the Blessed Mother of Velankani in the 16th century and the saving of the Portuguese sailors from a tempest in the Bay of Bengal in the later 17th century. The first apparition is said to have occurred in May of 1570, when a local shepherd boy was delivering milk to a nearby house. Along the way he met a beautiful woman holding a child, who asked for some milk for the little one. After giving her the milk, he continued on his way, and upon making the delivery discovered that the jug was now completely full of fresh, cool milk. The second apparition is said to have happened in 1597. Not far from Madikulam. A beautiful woman with a young boy in her arms appeared to a young crippled boy selling buttermilk. The little boy asked for some buttermilk, and after he drank it, the woman asked the boy selling buttermilk to visit a gentleman in the next town and ask him to build a chapel in her honor at that location. The boy set out quickly and realized that he was no longer lame. A small thatched chapel was quickly built in honor of Our Lady of Health, called in Tamil Arokya Mata. The third incident occurred when a Portuguese ship sailing from Macau to Sri Lanka was caught in a storm in the Bay of Bengal. They invoked the help of the Blessed Virgin under her title Star of the Sea. The storm subsided and the 150 men on board were saved. It was September 8th, the feast of the Nativity of Mary. In thanksgiving, the sailors rebuilt the shrine to Our Lady of Good Health, and continued to enhance it whenever their voyages brought them to the area. The shrine that started as a thatched chapel in the mid-16th century became a parish church in 1771 when Catholics in India were under persecution from the Dutch. Later in 1962 it was granted a special status of a minor basilica by Pope John XXIII. The shrine of Velankani was elevated to the status of minor basilica and merged with the major basilica of Mary Maggiore, in Rome on November 3, 1962 by Pope John XXIII. Velankani was a part of the parish of Nagapattinam. But as pilgrims began to pour into Veloncani, it was raised to the status of an independent parish in 1771, and Father Antonio de Rosario, the last parish priest of the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Nagapattinam, was appointed the first parish priest of Veloncani. Nagapattinam had always been under the ecclesiastical jurisdiction of the Bishop of the Diocese of Mylapore. During that period the Diocese of Mylapore was administered under the Portuguese Patrono patronage. Under the Patrono system, the King of Portugal in Europe met all the expenses incurred by the Diocese of Mylapore, which remained under the ecclesiastical jurisdiction of the Roman pontiffs. Until 1847 the priests of St. Franciscan missionaries who had looked after the province of Goa and Mylapore also looked after Nagapattinam and Veloncani. The Franciscan origin and ownership of the shrine was also perpetuated, by giving the place of honor to two Franciscan saints, Saint Anthony of Lisbon and Saint Francis of Assisi, on either side of the miraculous image of Our Lady, on the high altar until 1961. Besides the last parish priest, Miguel Francisco Fernandez, who was of the Franciscan order, controlled the parish of Veloncani till 1889. In 1890 the parish was handed over to diocesan priests. Thereafter, the diocesan priests of the Diocese of Mylapore were in charge of Veloncani. In 1952, when the new Diocese of Tanjavur came into being, and Veloncani became a part of the new diocese, the priests of Tanjavur Diocese became the custodians of the shrine. The administration of the new diocese was magisterially placed under the apostolic administration of the Right Reverend Dr. Louis Matthias, SDB, who was then the Archbishop of the new Archdiocese of Madras, Mylapore. On March 19, 1953, His Excellency the Reverend Dr. Arokyasamy Sundaram, a priest of Mylapore Archdiocese, was appointed as the first bishop of the new Diocese of Tanjavur. He assumed charge of his diocese on March 24, 1953. Veloncani, being situated in the Tanjavur district, came under the jurisdiction of the Diocese of Tanjavur. The Reverend Dr. Arokyasamy Sundaram showed keen interest in the development of Veloncani Shrine and granted special spiritual privileges. Our Lady of Health Veloncani became the second patroness of our newly erected diocese. Elevation of the shrine to the status of a basilica. The greatest honor that can be conferred to a church is to elevate it to the status of a basilica. The word basilica is derived from the Greek word basileia, and it originally signified a royal hall. In course of time this word has come to mean a large and beautiful hall. In ancient times kings from all over the world in general, and from Rome in particular, constructed large hall for administrative purposes. The first hall bearing the name of basilica existed in Athens. Jesus Christ being the King of Kings, and his churches being his audience halls, the larger Christian churches in Rome came to be called basilicas today. A basilica is a consecrated church usually built with the front facing the east, and generally constructed in one of the classical styles of architecture. It is oblong in shape with a broad nave ending in an apse. It is now stipulated that a church, in order to be called a basilica, should contain some work of art, or it should house the body of a saint or a celebrated image much venerated in the land, or be a preeminent place of pilgrimage. His Excellency, Dr. R.A. Sundaram, the first bishop of the Diocese of Tanjavur, earnestly petitioned Pope John XXIII to raise the shrine of Veloncani to the status of a basilica, and also requested His Holiness to enrich it with all the privileges attached to a basilica for the spiritual benefit of the pilgrims. In 1962, when Bishop Sundaram went to Rome to attend the second session of the Second Vatican Council, he reiterated his request to the Holy Father personally to raise the shrine of Our Lady of Veloncani to the lofty status of a minor basilica. After examining the request carefully, His Holiness Pope John XXIII, of saintly memory, issued orders raising the shrine to the exalted status of a minor basilica. Thus the shrine of Vallonconi became the Shrine Basilica of Vallonconi in November 1962 and was linked to the St. Mary's Major Basilica in Rome. September 8, the Feast of the Nativity of Mary, is also commemorated as the Feast of Our Lady of Good Health. The celebration starts on 29 August and ends on the day of the feast. The feast day prayers are said in Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, Konkani, Hindi, and English. Feast is celebrated from 29 August to 8 September, the birthday of the Blessed Virgin Mary. More than 20 lakhs pilgrims from all the corners of India and from other countries throng the shrine. Holy Mass is celebrated in 6 languages, 14 times a day during the feast. Car procession of Our Lady of Health takes place at 8 p.m. Every day hoisting of the Our Lady's flag takes place at 12. The grand annual feast commences with the hoisting of Our Lady's flag at 6:30 p.m. on 29 August. The Bishop of Tanjavur is the main celebrant on this day. The feast concludes with the dismounting of Our Lady's flag at 6 p.m. on 8 September. The rector and parish priest is the main celebrant on the concluding Mass. The feast concludes with the dismounting of Our Lady's flag at 6 p.m. on 8 September. The rector and parish priest is the main celebrant on the concluding Mass. The feast Mass is celebrated on 8 September at 6:15 a.m. in the Shrine Open Air Auditorium, presided over by the Bishop of Tanjavur.